This is my comparison of ancient civilizations by me, Elli Wynter. Today I've sort of got a cold so I have to stop to blow my nose. My voice might be a little stuffy, but just I have to deal with it. In ancient Sumeria, also known as Mesopotamia, right here, they praised their kings and artwork. They lived along the Euphrates River and found an irrigation system for their farms using the river. They wrote cuneiform with a stylus on a clay tablet like this, and then they thought that the king was the highest and most important to protect. Then there was the scribes, craftsmen, farmers, women, and slaves. In Egypt, they're widely known for their pyramids and their tombs. They also had a great position in the Nile Delta in Lower Egypt, right here, and in Upper Egypt, right here, there was good farming soil. In the order of importance, the pharaoh was king, then there were nobles, scribes, craftspeople, farmers, servants, and slaves. The slaves were often worked very hard and did not like their jobs. This is just a picture of an Egyptian tomb. You've seen them before. Not much. The Kushites, also known as the Nubians, did not have a good background. The Egyptians used them for slaves. They developed trade and metalworking with Egypt. When the Egyptians thought Kush was too strong, they got invaded. They had dark skin and were very strong. They also were known for their cattle herding and their metalworking. After Kush was invaded by Egypt, they went to Egypt, invaded them, and took over. Harpan, also known as Harpa, right here, was located in the Indus Valley, right here. They controlled large civilizations along the river. Around the cities were giant watchtowers. The houses had flat roofs with little fabric cuts on them, usually. It was always very warm there, sort of. They traded valuable jewels with price scales that might have been like these, and set out the price. In my Sumerian comparison, Egypt and Sumeria both existed along rivers, they both had kings, they both also had gods that they believed in. They loved their own artwork, farmed, and both had great armies. Sumer and Cush both lived along rivers, they farmed, they had strong armies, praised their kings and gods, and also had great trade with several civilizations. Sumer and Harpan also had a well-organized trade system. They both had sturdy houses and good defenses around their cities. Sorry. Egypt and Sumeria both existed along rivers, they both had kings, and they also both had gods that they believed in. They both loved their own artwork and farmed, and they both had great armies. Egypt and Cush both lived along the Nile River. They both built pyramids and traded with each other along the Nile River, and they also both invaded each other, which I find pretty funny. Egypt and Harpan both had sturdy, functional cities that were prepared for a lot. They also had strong defenses around themselves. In my Kushite comparison, Egypt and Kush both lived along the Nile River. They both built pyramids, surprisingly. They both traded with each other along the Nile River, and they both invaded each other. Cush and Sumeria both lived along rivers. They farmed, had strong armies, praised their kings and gods. They also had good trade with several civilizations. Harpan and Cush were both strong workers. They fought fairly, and they both had really good, thought-out trade. In my Harpan comparison, Harpan and Egypt both had strong functional sites that were prepared for a lot and had strong defenses around the cities. Harpan comparison in Samaria. Harpan and Samaria both had a well-organized trade system. They both had sturdy houses and good defenses around the cities. Cush and Harpan were both strong workers. They fought fairly, and they both had really good, thought-out trade. And by Sumerian contrast, as you can see from the scroll of papers appearing on the screen, well, they're not exactly scrolls of paper, but they sort of look like it. The Egyptians and the Sumerians were different because the Egyptians built pyramids, farmed a lot, and also greatly treasured the kings/pharaoh, and the Sumerians really didn't. The Kushites and the Sumerians were different because the Kushites did cattle farming and metalworking, and the Sumerians were better known for their cuneiform. The Harpans and the Sumerians were different because the Harpans traded jewels, put up stronger defenses for their cities. Also, the Harpans were not located along the Nile River like the Sumerians. In my Egyptian contrast, the Egyptians and Sumerians were different because the Egyptians built pyramids, farmed a lot, and also greatly treasured their king/pharaoh. The Kushites and the Egyptians had a big difference in slavery. The Egyptians always wanted more slaves, and the Kushites did not want slaves that much. The Kushites also had a bigger metalworking system than the Egyptians. Harpans and Egypts were different because, in many ways, as the Egyptians lived in the Nile Delta and the Harpans lived in India. Also, the Egyptians built pyramids and the Harpans did not. Good. And I'm sorry for the my head might be covering some words. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna say them anyways. The difference between Harpans and the Kushites are that the Kushites built pyramids, and they also lived along the Nile River, while the Harpans lived in big cities, with the great walls and strong protection around them. The Kushites farmed cows and made a great industry in metalworking. The Kushites and the Sumerians were different because the Kushites did cattle farming and metalworking, and the Sumerians were better known for their cuneiform. The Kushites and the Egyptians had a big difference in slavery. The Egyptians always wanted more slaves, and the Kushites not as much. The Kushites also had a bigger metalworking system and cattle farming system than the Egyptians. I see a problem. There is Harpan where there should be Samaria, but we're just going to pretend that it's Samaria. Harpan and Egypt. The Harpans and the Egyptians were different in many ways, as in the Egyptians lived in the Nile Delta and the Harpans lived in India. Also, the Egyptians built pyramids and the Harpans did not. The Harpans and the Sumerians were different because the Harpans traded jewels and put up stronger defenses for their cities, and the Harpans were not located along the Nile River like the Sumerians. The difference between the Harpans and the Kushites was that the Kushites built pyramids. They also lived along the Nile River, while the Harpans lived in big cities with great walls and strong protection around them. The Kushites farmed cows and made great industry in metalworking. Again, thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day. Goodbye.